Done.
Shots fired, shots fired.
Folks, today you are going to learn why, even if you train at the range to do 1 or 2 controlled shots, why you will almost certainly do a mag dump into your bad guy in a true life or death situation. You've defended yourself against an armed attacker. Now you have to worry about prison and or million-dollar lawsuits. For me and my family, I trust Firearms Legal Protection. From their 24-hour hotline, where you can call an actual attorney who will begin heading your way, to the expert attorneys they provide to fight for you in court. Use the link below to get a discount when you become a member. Relax, folks. This is an old, dead, rotted out tree. I would never shoot into a live and healthy tree. And since filming all of these videos, I've been able to save up for a steel target anyways. So again, folks, I hate saying this at the beginning of each one of my videos that deal with self-defense topics, but I never know when I have new viewers. Again, I am a 20-year police veteran, and again, I have unfortunately been involved in a real-life self-defense police action shooting. So everything that I give to you in these videos are from real-life experience. So let's get on with the video. Us gun owners, us self-defenders, we subconsciously train ourselves that when we are at the range with our firearm, we subconsciously train ourselves that when we pull that trigger, that is the action that's going to save our life. When a bad guy has a gun pointed at us, or when a bad guy is charging at us with a knife, we are training ourselves that pulling that trigger is what's going to save our lives. So then what happens in real life when a bad guy is pointing a gun at you, when a bad guy is charging at you with a knife, when a real true life or death situation happens, when you have that panicked urgency that you have to shoot now to save your life, to keep from dying, when you run into a real life or death situation like that, most of the time, your lizard part or your caveman part of your brain takes over and your analytical part of your brain goes out the window. And then once your analytical part of your brain goes out the window, you just automatically react. And when you have trained yourself that doing this is what's going to save your life, and once your caveman part of your brain takes over, you are going to do this until you perceive that your deadly threat is no more. You are going to pump that trigger, more than likely, you're going to pump that trigger rapidly until you realize that your life is no longer in danger. And again, let me repeat that. When you are panicked and you think that you are about to die, you will pump that trigger rapidly until your mind perceives that that bad guy has either dropped and is no longer charging at you or has ran the other way. You know what? A really good example of why most self-defenders will pump multiple rounds into their bad guy during a self-defense shooting. A really good example is this. If you have ever had a hornet or a large wasp, now I'm not talking about a little honeybee, I'm talking about a big freaking wasp, ever go into your shirt collar or up your shirt sleeve, and I'm not talking about where they're hovering around where you can kind of swat it away, but I'm talking where a big freaking hornet has actually went into your collar or up your shirt sleeve. When you went to swat that hornet or that wasp away, did you do just a calm, or did you do that 5 or 10 times until you realized that hornet was either dead inside your sleeve or you'd gotten him out? What your brain told you was doing this what is going to help keep you from getting stung by that big hornet or that big wasp. So in that moment of panic, instead of just doing this, you do that multiple times because you're like, holy crap, I got to do this before I get stung. Now, if you react that way to the possibility of just getting a painful wasp or hornet sting, can you imagine how you will react when that bad guy gets the drop on you and has his gun pointing at you before you can even get your gun out of your holster, or that bad guy is already racing towards you with that knife? Do you honestly think you're going to draw your gun and get that one well-placed, well-aimed shot off, or are you going to draw your gun and fire multiple rounds until you perceive that he is no longer attacking you? So it's because of reasons like that that it is very common for self-defenders to shoot violent attackers multiple times and even a couple of times in the back as the bad guy's running away. And let's touch bases on that really fast, because it is not unusual for me to see people comment with comments like, well, his first 3 or 4 shots were very legal, but once the bad guy turned around and started running away, his last 2 or 3 shots that hit that bad guy in the back are illegal and that guy should be charged with murder or something along to those lines. We have to remember that when these situations go down, that again our caveman or our lizard part of our brain takes over and our analytical part of our brain goes out the window. Like I said earlier, we also have to perceive something and react to that, and sometimes that just takes a moment or two for that to occur. So for instance, if a bad guy starts coming at me, I have to see that, I have to perceive that, and then I have to react to that. Once I actually start shooting that bad guy even has to perceive, with all of his adrenaline going, that he's getting shot. Then he has to turn around and start running the other way or drop down. Now, once that bad guy turns around and starts running away, then I have to perceive that he's actually now turn around and running away. I have to see that vision gets fed into my brain perceives that, realizes it, then my brain has to send that signal to my trigger finger that I can stop pulling that trigger now. And all of this can happen so fast that when that bad guy turns around and starts running away, it might take a second or two for your body to send that signal to stop pulling that trigger, and in that second or two that bad guy can now have his back turned to you and running away from you, therefore some of your shots entering into his back as he's running away from you. And folks, even though this stuff takes place in just mere moments of time, when you are in that pure panic, I'm about to die, I have to urgently react in order to save my life. When that is going on, you are pumping those rounds fast, or you can be pumping those rounds fast, because you are trying to save your life. And in those mere moments that occurs, that bad guy turns to start running away from you, or that he falls down, in those mere moments, those split seconds that it takes for you to perceive that and then to react and quit pulling your trigger, you can pump off a lot of rounds, again, in those mere moments in time. And folks, another reason why you might do a mag dump into a bad guy, shoot a bad guy so many times, is because many people forget how much damage the human body can absorb before it finally stops, before that bad guy finally drops down. I know of one police officer that carries 145 rounds of just handgun ammunition every time that he's on duty, and that's because even though he shot a violent criminal one time 6 times fatally, it took that officer shooting that bad guy 14 times before that violent criminal finally went down and quit shooting at that police officer. So folks, the next time you hear a news story about a self-defender that shot a bad guy 12 times in self-defense, instead of asking why that self-defender shot that bad guy so many times, just understand that self-defender may have been shooting his gun in a panicked mode because he was in such fear for their life, or it might have took that many shots to actually put that bad guy down. And I really think it's time that we as a society quit questioning so harshly the actions of a good guy self-defender, whether it is a police officer or whether a citizen self-defender. It is time that we as a society quit such harshly judging the actions of good people trying to defend their lives. So instead of us asking, why did he shoot that bad guy so many times? Why did his last 2 shots go into his back and stuff like that? It's time for us as a society to go back to the saying of, that criminal played a stupid game, therefore he won a stupid prize. And here is a perfect video example of what I'm talking about.
A customer who we're not identifying was shopping at the Family Dollar on Stanton Road when he says he saw White holding employees at gunpoint. The customer pulled out his own gun and fired 5 times. While police say it was completely legal, White's family says they're angry.
If his life was not in danger, if no one had a gun up to him, if no one pointed a gun at him, what gives him the right to think that it's okay to just shoot someone. You should have just left the store and left and went wherever you had to go in your car or whatever.
Folks, anytime that we are talking about self-defense, this is very important to remember. The first thing, that violence and also the use of deadly force should always be a last resort and never just a convenient option. And also remember, it is your responsibility to know your state's laws on self-defense. And to learn why telling the police at the scene of your self-defense shooting that you wish to press charges against your attacker that you just shot, to learn why that is horrible advice, and to learn what 90% of the general public does not know about that, then click on the video that should be appearing on the screen just about now to learn that powerful knowledge. Anyways, folks, that is enough internet for today. It is time to go train. And folks, if you made it this far, hey, thank you very much for watching, and I pray that you have a good night.